19% of Americans live in a town with a population of under 20,000 people. That's 63 million total people in the US. Now, small towns are typically at least 10 miles away from a metropolitan area, and this contributes to that slower way of life that a lot of people are really attracted to.
Have Hallmark movies contributed to the growth of small towns?
Welcome to Christmas at the Whitley Mansion.
What are you people doing in my house?
Well, hello.
This is unclear to me. However, in Oklahoma, we do see people fleeing small towns. And here's why.
Many small towns are super resistant to change. Small towns are known for having very tight-knit communities, and this means that people can be very resistant when things start to change. Outsiders sometimes find it very difficult to integrate into these communities. Sometimes it even takes years. I've heard people say this to me. And even if you grow up in a small town, it may be really hard to find a spouse there. Like, it may be hard to date, and I've seen people leave because of that. Newcomers in these small towns can, and usually do, face some scrutiny. I've heard this from several people, and this is especially true if the small town is located very far, like more than an hour outside of a metropolitan area. In small towns, everyone knows everyone else's business. A town can also be very resistant to change economically. I grew up in a small town. You may have heard of it. It's called Claremore, and it's just northeast of Tulsa. So it's unclear to me if new businesses just didn't try to come to Claremore, or if policies of the town actually kept them away. I have the feeling it's the latter. The town definitely has a much larger array of businesses now, but it took a very long time to get there. New business ideas may be unwelcome or shot down completely. We even have a fairly large small town here in Oklahoma called Ardmore, and they don't allow new housing developments. It's not every town. But usually, if there's the possibility of a tax hike or some sort of change in the routine of the citizens' lives, they're going to rebel and vote it down, even if it means the town could prosper because of it. Of course, these small towns I'm talking about are located in rural areas, which means that weather may become an issue. Here in Oklahoma, we've had small towns that have been absolutely devastated because of tornadoes. And sometimes these small towns even cease to exist because of that. Recently, the towns of Holdenville, Marietta, and Sulphur all were hit by really large tornadoes, and a lot of the town was actually destroyed. And sometimes what happens in these instances is the citizens of the town may end up leaving the county permanently, or even leaving the state. It takes these towns a lot longer to rebuild than other metropolitan areas. During ice and snow in some of these rural areas, the roads can take a really long time to get cleared, and sometimes they're actually never cleared. The roads in these small towns are not just susceptible to the ice and snow and stuff, but they may just be less good or bad roads compared to other roads. And actually, a disproportionate share of fatalities take place on rural roads compared to the amount of traffic that they carry. Because of the small population, sometimes these towns aren't high on the power company's list to restore power when there's an outage. And then there's the internet. Some people in rural America still don't have access to fixed broadband. Actually, more than 14 million people don't have that access. If something happens too one year, there's a town in Oklahoma where they raise peaches, right? It's called Porter, and some of you may have been there. And if there's a freeze late in the season and all the peaches are destroyed, then that could be really devastating for that town, because not only is the crop destroyed, but the tourist season that happens in July because of the peaches may also not happen, which doesn't bring in any revenue. And then small businesses can close, people lose their jobs, and sometimes housing prices even go down. So I'm Marcie Billen, and I am a real estate agent, and I do work here in Oklahoma, and I'm connected to real estate agents all over the country. On my website, you can fill out this short form to talk to me about what you're needing so I can help you with your next steps in your real estate journey if that's what you're on. And yes, I do personally make these phone calls. You're going to find this link in the description below and also down in the comments. So in a lot of these small towns, you're going to find an aging population. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. What we have seen, though, in recent years is that it's hard for this aging population to age in place because of what we call healthcare deserts. Healthcare is usually very limited in these small towns, creating what's called like a healthcare desert, meaning that people have to drive more than 15, 20 minutes to even get to a pharmacy. Like there might be a general practitioner in the town, but sometimes getting to a specialist may take you 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe even 4-hour drive. The U.S. Government Accountability Office reports that over 100 rural hospitals closed from 2013 to 2020, forcing residents to travel 20 miles farther for common services and 40 miles farther for specialized care. In many instances, some of these seniors are almost forced, to move to a metropolitan area just so they can get adequate health care. And also because of this aging population, young people might have a hard time finding jobs, making friends, dating, etc. And then, of course, young people are also concerned with healthcare and they need access to healthcare. And the absence of healthcare nearby may prompt young people to move closer to larger cities. Social homogeneity may be another concern for people in small towns. Small towns can be a tough place to stay if you're in the minority for race, religion, politics, lifestyle, anything. This also translates into a lack of diversity for things like restaurants, traditions, festivals, and that can spill over into a lack of diversity in schools or even community initiatives. So I've already mentioned housing a little bit in this video, but let's talk about housing in these small towns. In many of these places, we do find a significant housing shortage. Some towns don't like builders coming into town and building a spec home or a neighborhood of spec homes, so they just don't allow it, and that contributes to a shortage. In some towns, you're only going to see custom homes being built. That really doesn't help keep up with the population growth in a lot of these areas. Apartments are sometimes completely unheard of in these towns, although when you get up to the populations of like 30,000 or 40,000, you will see more apartments. Rentals can definitely be few and far between in these small towns, and it's definitely going to depend on the investor community or if there are any investors in these towns. And depending on the area, these can be in very high demand, the rental houses. So I usually see this high demand for rental houses in small towns if the town is within an hour's drive of a major metropolitan area. Because people want the best of both worlds. They want to live in a small town and have access to the amenities that a big city can offer. Don't forget about that link in the description and the comments for how to get a hold of me. I would love to chat with you about your next steps. And I would definitely watch this video next if you need some more information. I'll see you next time.